Hi everybody, it's Lyn from Lyn's Craft Designs. Today I've got 3 more pieces of embellishments, a resin casting, a paper clay, and a polymer clay. This polymer clay in particular is the Juliet from the Prima line that I only filled part way. So the little ends aren't on there. It's just because that's how much scrap clay I had. As you know, scrap clay is not something I have a lot of. So I'm gonna do these 3 with acrylic paint. So I'm gonna get that together and I'll be right back. Okay, on the paper clay, again, I'm gonna give it a coat of black gesso because the paint will still tend to absorb right into the paper clay, which it will do anyway, but at least this will prevent it from doing it quite so bad. Alright, so I'm just gonna finish this and I'll be right back. Okay, I went ahead and painted all 3 pieces with the black gesso. This one is the resin. This one is the polymer clay. And this one is the paper clay. This one literally feels like nothing. It's so light. Okay, so I've got 2 colors of the bronze. This one is the antique bronze, and this one is called Rich Espresso. This one is the Extreme Sheen by DecoArt, and this one is the Dazzling Metallics by DecoArt. I believe the Rich Espresso is going to be a bit darker. I've also got some Home Decor by Delta. This is pickling gel. I've had this forever. I don't have any idea where I got it from, but I just really like the color. So I'm going to use this for a little bit of faux patina. So let's start with the darker Rich Espresso. Okay, and I'm sorry, I should have said I'm doing the paper clay one first. Okay, sorry, that was a bit of a booger to get open. So I'm just going to paint it. I'm really not too worried about getting it everywhere. I'm sorry, I don't mean getting it everywhere. I mean getting it everywhere, as in covering the whole piece. Okay, that looks pretty good. So I'm just going to let that dry. Okay, now I'm going to take the pickling gel. The only thing I can say is that, like, I don't know what they're called. the Americana gel stains and this pickling gel are almost like an acrylic paint that's got extender already mixed in with it. I'm not sure. That's just what I think. So I'm just gonna, I've got a really thinner detail brush, and I'm just gonna go where I think it would have some patina. And I've got a baby wipe / craft wipe. That I'm just gonna rub on the surface a bit. And then I'm gonna let that dry. Okay, now I'm going to take this Extreme Sheen Antique Bronze and I'm just going to take a tiny bit on the end of my finger. I am so sorry for being off camera. Hey, y'all know I just can't paint without getting it all over me. But I really hope you can see the difference in those two bronzes. It's really quite apparent. I was rather skeptical. Okay, so I'm just going to let this dry for a few minutes, and then I'm going to bring in some white. I may just bring in the gesso because it has that matte finish that I'm really looking for. Alright. So again, just taking my finger. And I'm really trying to kind of stay away from the middle. Alright, there is number one. I'm going to go ahead and try to finish each piece, just because otherwise I'll fill my whole desk up with paint. But I really like this one. It turned out very nice. That would be a great idea if you were doing a card. These are so light and so flat. Or they'd be great on a canvas or even a mixed media piece. Really like that. I'll remember that. Okay. So next, I'm going to do this little polymer clay piece. I don't know what to call her. It's like this one, except for I didn't mold the ends. I don't know why. No, because I just had this much scrap. That's why. Alright, so I'll be right back. Okay, now this time I've got some of the extreme sheen in copper. And weirdly enough, some of this extreme sheen in the bronze. Now this is different. This is not the antique bronze. This is just the normal bronze. But to me, it's got a much more copper and gold combination color. So I'm going to use that to highlight. I am going to start with the copper, which is so nude it doesn't even want to shake. Shake my fool head off. Okie dokie. This should be fairly simple. I say that, it's got quite a bit more detail than I thought it did. Okay, once again, I'm just going to let that dry. Okay. Okay, now I've got this golden polymer varnish with UVLS. It's the matte. Now, the reason I use this is because it is the most matte finish virtually out there. Now, all sealers are inherently gloss. So, a matting agent has to be added for you to get a matte finish. So, anytime you've got a sealer, you need to stir it. I'm terrible about shaking it. Just because that's what I do. But I'll shake it and then I'll let it settle down so that it doesn't have that many bubbles. So I'm going to take the pickling varnish, the pickling gel, sorry. Let's just say just a drop. And then I'm going to take some of the matte finish. And I'm going to mix them together. Just trying to give the pickling gel a little bit of the matte finish when it dries. Okay, so with that being said, I also want to add a little water. Normally I would put a bit of gloss varnish on this so that the pickling gel won't penetrate that copper paint. But this time it shouldn't be a big deal because I'm gonna go ahead and put a top coat of the, let's call it the bronze, because that's what it is. Okay, that really kind of did some weird stuff. Now I'm going to take my craft wipe or my baby wipe. Okay, that worked out alright. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to let that dry. Sorry there's so much drying time. Okay, now for the Extreme Sheen Bronze. It's a bit chunky. And once again, I'm just going to go in with my fingertip. The color is very close to the copper, but it's like the, excuse me, it's like the highlight of the copper. Okay. So I really like that. I think I'm just going to leave it like that. Okay. Well, let's try to do both of them at the same time. I don't know how well my camera captures that, but it's actually never had much trouble focusing, so knock on wood. So this one, I'm gonna do brass or gold and silver, and I'm gonna try to do a kind of platinum kind of finish. So I'll get my stuff together and I'll be right back. Now for this one, I've chosen to do a 4-color. This is the Vintage Brass Extreme Sheen. This is the Champagne Gold Dazzling Metallics. This is actually one of my favorites. Then I've got the silver and the sterling silver in the extreme sheen, and I'll give you a kind of close-up. This is the silver and this is the sterling silver. You can tell this one is quite a bit richer and this one is quite a bit, I'd almost say, a whiter silver. But we're going to draw them both and see what we can come up with. So I'm going to start with the extreme sheen antique brass. You'll see the difference as well on the two of these. This one is much more like it's almost an antique gold, but it's not as antique. Okay, so I'm just gonna slather on a coat of this gold. On the front and on the back. And then part of the course, I'm gonna let it dry. So since I don't do the sped up kind of videos, sorry if you don't care for the long ones. With my camera issues, you're lucky to see what you get to see. I know it's not funny, but for now it just is what it is. My husband keeps telling me we're almost there. Meaning we've almost got the bills caught back up where they need to be. After him changing jobs. Which was a blessing. I did not like him working in the middle of the night. It never allowed us to be together. We literally had 3 hours to spend together. And that was for him to eat dinner and then go right back to bed. It was not a fun situation. When you've been married as long as we have, we're used to spending time together. This year will be 34 years, 35 years, 35 years. Listen to me, I sound like the husband. Really and truly, we count it as 39 years because we were together for 4 years before we got married. The day that I met him, I went home and told my mother that I'd just met the guy I was going to marry. And I was 14. So when somebody tells you they don't believe in true love, don't believe them. Alright, I'm just going to let that dry and then I'll be back. Okay, now I'm going to use this champagne gold. This is one of my favorites because it's very sparkly. Very sparkly. Sorry, I had to shake it up again. Okay, I'm really just gonna sort of brush over the tops. In other words, I'm really not trying to go for complete coverage, even though it may look like that. Okay, and then while that is still wet, I'm going to use the silver extreme sheen. Now, I know I've explained this before, but I leave the plastic on the lid and I store them upside down, and it helps to keep them from drying out. When you store them upside down, it causes all the paint to run to the bottom so that air physically can't get in, leaving the plastic on the cap, of course, seals the lid. Okay, now just gonna pat it off on my desk, on my glass. And I'm literally just... Okay, I've got some Americana lamp black, which is also the ebony black. Okay, sorry, don't know what happened. This is after the black wash. And I do love how it turned out. Now this is with the 2 colors of the gold and 2 colors of the silver. And with the black wash. So, really pretty. Okay, these are the 3. This one is the resin, this one is the paper clay, and this one is the polymer clay. Alright, so thanks so much for stopping by. Please like, share, and subscribe. All my social media links are listed below, as well as I'll try to put the link for the Extreme Sheen paints down below. Okay? I've got my shop on vacation right now. I'm trying to update things a little bit. So, if you're interested in anything, you can just comment below or look me up on Facebook. Bye for now.